someone called a ceasefire, and I would also say there's a couple helicopters flew over the battlefield, which I still to this day don't know who they were.
Oh, you think he was escaping?
From this video, I'm surprised it hasn't blown up because it's got a lot of views. It's on the Megyn Kelly Show's channel with 604,000 views over a month ago. But I feel like that this video should have been even bigger than that because the pieces just aren't lining up.
So what happened? Because you didn't find bin Laden there, but you found all of his henchmen.
Yeah.
You killed him.
Yeah.
And then are you like done? Because bin Laden's still out there.
A fucking ceasefire.
You see this guy, if you've ever been in a military environment, you know somebody like John Mcphee here, which, by the way, was special operations for the Army during this time. He's looking to go after it. This person is looking to find the enemy, eliminate, move forward. And when you pull back the reins on that, you essentially are telling the pit bull to stop. When I look at this, like somebody that does like the body language where they shrug their shoulders up and they're like, I would maybe look at that, you know, they're trying to tell you something. And I feel like he cannot explicitly give everything, but he's trying to, in every physical manifestation, to be like, you, the public, should be aware of this.
It this way. If the first 10 days of the war, 10 guys kill bin Laden, where's the war on terror at?
Oh, this is interesting.
The checkbook would have never got opened.
Oh, that's really interesting.
That's what I think.
So you're pretty cynical about our military-industrial complex.
I wouldn't say cynical. Like, I mean, I enjoyed my time. I love grenades. You know what I mean?
He's doing the, how much do I want to give with this, right? And body language is important, but on top of that, when he is correct on this aspect, there were $2.3 trillion, according to the Googles, that was spent over in Afghanistan. We all know that America was hyped up on red, white, and blue, ready to go. Think of all the patriotism. Like, we were alive during a time where it's the polar opposite of what we've seen in the past 5 years. And so to see America at that point, we are willing to really do anything. We're really, I mean, I feel like every American was willing to say, like, whatever it takes to get justice for 3,000 people that had to sadly disappear from this earth because of this. Also, I'm not trying to go into the conspiracy theory side of this, but I will say that, like, when you see the whole picture of this and how we know elections are involved, and that's been discussed heavily with the time when the Osama bin Laden thing did happen during the Obama administration, showing that this was a positive thing that occurred, and we finally finished the mission, which obviously was not wrapped up until 2021. There's a lot of questions to this because he's insinuating that there is somebody that could have been involved.
But I do think, like, the rug was pulled out from under us.
Well, I mean, it definitely was at the end, but are you talking about right here, right now, when you're trying to find bin Laden? You don't think that the military brass wanted you to find him? They wanted it to go on and on?
No. I think someone else intervened and put him in hiding. Someone who owned helicopters.
Mm-hmm.
Regular people own helicopters. Who owns helicopters? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And then how come I've never heard about this anywhere else?
I don't know. No one wants to talk about this.
I know, right? See what I'm saying?
Now, it is no secret that this whole entire thing has a multitude of layers to this onion. And a lot of that stemmed from his perspective, slice of the pie, special operations, Department of Defense. During the Afghanistan pullout, we saw many layers fall apart and kind of the Spider-Man meme of pointing the finger blame game, essentially, between Department of Defense, between State Department, between three-letter agencies, including CIA, FBI, all these other things where you're like, no wonder why nobody knows exactly what's going on, because they only have such a small sliver of information. And I would say someone like him that retired or got out as a sergeant major of the Army here, he's not a stupid guy. He was special operations. He obviously has some knowledge and is capable And I'd say that this is kind of insulting to his intelligence, if anything. And I respect him a lot for kind of coming out trying to do this.
But, I mean, are you talking about, like I say, the military-industrial complex, like one of these big contractors, or are you talking about us?
I don't know. I mean, you can make your own guesses. You know what I'm saying? But I would say this is like, okay, where's the story between where he lived in Pakistan and Tora Bora? Where's that story also, by the way? I want to know that story.
Do we know?
I have no idea. You?
No.
You ever heard anything?
No.
We need this like these JFK files. Let's go.
Well,
you know what I mean?
You actually have a shot at it right now with this administration.
Well, there you go. You know these guys.
I got a friend over at the Pentagon.
There you go.
I mean, we can get to the bottom of that.
There you go.
There are so many layers of things that we're trying to understand. And I think what's hard is a lot of people have to remember this was before we shared everything on the internet like we do on video now. Now people are cognizant, thinking ahead of time to make up things as they go, to try and piece together and make sure that it's airtight. Back then, it was easier to manipulate into regular media what the story was going to be, what the headlines were going to be. It was a much smaller and less orchestrated type of situation. So I don't put it past John Mcphee here to sit here and say, like, there's some questions, because really what's hard is we're asking people to look back now 20 plus years. We are asking people to truly dig deep, but as time goes on, a lot of those memories kind of go away, and people pass away, and people that were privy to those situations don't want to talk about them or whatever else, because there's too many conflicting personal interests that are involved in this. And that's what he's getting.
I mean, unfortunately, and totally understandably, so many of our veterans are asking these questions now, including Sean. You know, I talked to him at length about his questions about who are the good guys. And
we're not. I don't think we are at all.
You don't?
I don't think we're good friends.
Why?
I think we deal on a short timeline, a 4-year timeline. And I think everyone else has like been in charge for 50 years. You know what I mean? And they've seen us flip-flop back and forth, and we pull, we push, we tug a war with the rope. It never ends out good. We're not good friends. And then as soon as you don't do what we want, we're going to chuck you under the bus and move the fuck on. You know what I mean?
Like, give me an example.
I don't know, tons of stuff. You know what I mean? I'm giving you an example right now. Where are these helicopters at? Where's the story of bin Laden from Abbottabad, where that's where the officers are trained in Pakistan? Mm-hmm. Interesting, right? And how did he get out of Afghanistan? He's on dialysis. You mean this guy walked over 14,000-foot mountains in the snow with his little woolen blanket and his dialysis machine, but left all his people behind?
What's interesting about the dialysis thing is we knew that he was getting weaker. We knew he was getting older. And a lot of people, I'm sure, in the audience have obviously had someone that's on dialysis. It's not something that you get every once in a while. It's kind of like as you go through the progression of kidney failure, you essentially are going to continuously need more and more dialysis because it's filtering your blood out for what your kidneys cannot do. As time goes on, your kidneys just are going to continuously not work. It's not like they get better and regenerate and they're awesome after that. So we're talking about periods of months, years, of him in hiding per se. So he would have had to have had access to a lot of healthcare professionals, which I'm surprised we have not addressed in various documentaries, such as the Netflix documentary that came out, kind of telling their own rendition of the story. And by the way, I will say that we've actually seen a lot of not great information that's coming from this, because we have this documentary, and kind of nitpicking how we're going to weave in our stories. And so the history that's being made of Osama bin Laden has been very much covered up in a lot of ways. And that's because even the documentary on Netflix, they're like, they don't want to memorialize him by having a place where he was buried or having pictures, which, it's hard because it's kind of, just trust me, bro. I think a lot of the American people, as time has gone on and the social media, internet sphere has brought curiosity and voices out, it's just too difficult to patch up.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I think there's, I think George Bush said dead or alive, and I think the Pentagon was risk adverse. And I think that's where the disconnect was at that time. But I think someone else stepped in and took bin Laden into hiding.
And when we found him in 2010, I'm trying to remember my exact time. It was 11. I was on maternity leave with my
It was
daughter.
an election year.
So you think that was by design?
Yeah. Yeah.
They were.
Yeah.
He was
For
more
Obama.
useful. He was more useful dead.
Obama needed to get reelected. It's time.
And so
Surprise.
allowed.
It is no secret that there have been 3-letter agencies that were in this region of the world that were teaching tactics and were interwoven into various parts of the country to train certain people of this region. And just like he said previously, we've been very flip-floppy. So just like there's been this tribal entity being that's there, Taliban, whatever else, we flip-flop. They have new powers that change, ISIS, all these different shifting, moving pieces. We're shifting and moving. And so it's easy to believe that there were micro levels of people that had connections or agreements, maybe not in alliance to nationality or to country or whatever you want to call it, but to each other. That is not anything crazy. And I want to bring you guys back to some of that, like even on a grand scale that's even more appealing or open. And that is the interpreters that were allowed to be with U.S. forces, even including special operations as well. And a lot of those people had to advocate for those guys to then come over. So don't put that outside the wheelhouse of possibility. I think John Mcphee is very much on the right track of this.
So is that just your gut, having been in the Army for 20 years, or?
Yeah. Hell yeah.
I mean, that's the worst possible take on our commander in chief and what they might do. Like endanger, continue a war where guys are getting killed and their limbs blown off. What, to improve so you can get the election under your belt? It's just so.
It's the way it works.
My guy's blown up. I think I'd be very angry if I believe this. I'd be very fucking pissed off. Are you angry?
I mean,
Believing this?
Being angry wouldn't get me a cup of coffee. You know what I'm saying?
I know, but either you feel it or you don't. If you know.
I look at it this way. I had a great time. I did everything I could. I did as much as I could every time I could. And I always try to do the right thing. At the same time, like, I can't control everything. You know what I mean? And then, does it make me mad? Sure. Do I hate that, like, the politicians disagree on something and it costs your son his life, right? Mm-hmm. Like, ridiculous, right? But at the same time, like, I was having the time of my life, so I wasn't questioning shit. Anytime you drink from the bottle of hindsight, everything gets clearer, you know what I mean? But at the time, like, I didn't question it. I was on to the next. Like, war was my life, and I was good at it, and I saved lives. I saved a ton of lives in war.
I think when I look at situations like this with John Mcphee and other veterans that were there during this time, is what you're seeing is the rise of the fog of war. What you're seeing is that like he says, the hindsight is more clear as you're looking back. And not all bad is bad and not all good is good, but there is some in between there. And for some reason in history, we do not like nuance. We like black, white, divides, good guys, bad guys. And, who knows how much of this information that we're talking about will end up in some history book or some version of a history book, whatever that may be.
All those things combined kept me coming back to it, whether it's right, wrong, indifferent. Like, these are things that I can't control, so why even dwell on it? You know what I mean? And then you'll get stuck in there. It's muddy water. You'll get stuck. It's quicksand. You'll sink in it. Like, why this? Why that? Like, why ask why?
You haven't been through therapy. This is just your own thinking.
I don't go to therapy.
No, I assumed.
You know a therapist? Like,
I do. I actually know a really good one, but I don't think you need him.
I don't think
you got your head on your shoulders.
John Mcphee, he has not been to therapy, but this guy understands how to compartmentalize and understand in the same fragment or consolidation of each box what he controls and doesn't control, the locus of control. And that's important. And he has seen this of veterans that have kind of disappeared into the quicksand because they are the ones that run through this, ruminate on these thoughts. What could I have done better? What could I have done worse? What if I did this or that? And those costs are why we had the 22 a day. That's why we had people that were out there that were essentially trying to retroactively fix whatever situation they had as they received more information on the back end. That's why people look at Iraq very differently now than they did back then as well. So yeah, just going to put that out there. I think that these secret helicopters or whatever are very telling, and I feel like he is in an indirect way trying to give as much information he can without coming across too crazy either. But let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. I'd love to hear what you guys think.